Google searches for climate anxiety soared by 565% in 2021. Climate change, anxiety, eco grief, climate doom, different names for the same feeling, which is leaving several people overwhelmed. We at the Mind Diaries like to look at the silver lining, and we have somebody very special with us who will help us see the silver lining in the cloud of climate anxiety. Mr. Aditya Pundir is a very well known name in the field of climate change and sustainability. Mr. Pundir is Director, India and South Asia for the Climate Reality Project, India. He received his training from Honorable Vice President of US, Mr. Al Gore in 2009 on climate change and was selected for Australian Leadership Award Training 2013 in Environment. His teachers training program, which he developed for climate education, has trained more than 11,000 teachers in the country. He has authored two books on natural world heritage sites for UNESCO, five environmental education CD-ROMs, and eight comics for children on environmental issues. He is also represented on consultation committees on climate change in India formed by UNDP, World Bank, and UNESCO. So let's delve deeper into climate anxiety, what it is. Mr. Pundir, could you please tell us what climate anxiety really is? We hear the term a lot now.
Yeah.
What is climate anxiety?
Climate anxiety, you can say, is a term which is being now used like in a umbrella, as you rightly said, the climate grief, and there are so many eco grief and the type of words are there. So climate anxiety is like initially people did not know much about the climate challenge. But now as the climate message is being hammered home by the formal education as well as by the events which are happening around us. You see what happened in Dubai last week. Yeah, the whole place is flooded. So now the climate events are happening, and so the young people, they are getting now a better grasp upon what is happening in terms of climate change and why these disasters are happening. So a lot of people, or especially the younger audience, they are taking it as a challenge, as a something not good for the future, and that is what we are calling climate anxiety, because all the now they are able to connect the dots, that why is it happening. So I would say in a very, very simple terms, that climate anxiety is just worry of the young people about what the future is going to be, or is there a future.
Right. And does it mostly affect only young people or is it across ages?
Yes, I think climate anxiety can happen to anyone who gets into the subject and then feels there's no solution. So that's the main thing. Like in case if you feel there's a strong solution to it, then you are not into that anxiety mode any longer. You feel there's something going to happen. The time you start feeling desperate, you start feeling that nothing can be done, that's the time the anxiety becomes more acute. Now, coming to the age group, I would say yes, the young people are suffering more from climate anxiety than the elders, I would say, because probably the reason being that the young are more into the future, they're more into what they're looking forward to, and then if they feel that that future is in dark or has some problems, in that case, the climate anxiety tend to seep in better. And another thing is that the you can say the elder age group people, they are more into other things also. There's so many problems. They're running a family, they're running the financial issues, health issues, there's so many issues, while the younger generation is more focused on education and entertainment and all those things young people do. So in that case, climate events, especially what I'm seeing, the disasters especially, they sort of become a problem area. Like, so when an event happens or something happens, so whenever an event happens, something like the climate event happening, it becomes a disruption, and that forces them to think about it. So that is why I feel that for the younger people it's more.
Do you think mental health support is important for climate anxiety? Do you see that happening in India now?
Well, the mental support for climate anxiety, I would think it's a very nascent subject in India. It's nearly not being addressed so much. It is mainly still it's already becoming sort of, it's in I would say it's in infancy even in Europe and in Americas. What I'm seeing is in the West already they have started talking about it openly. They have started People have started forming help mental like health the groups have started being formed to support people, like climate cafe and all, they have started coming up. And the people who are in part of this industry, they have started also looking at it as something, as a problem. While in our part of the world, like in India, I'm not seeing much discussion happening around this currently. And I strongly feel that they should start talking about it and looking at this aspect also.
You work a lot with schools. I mean, you do green campus programs. Could you tell us a little more about green campus programs?
Yes. In the Green Campus program, what we do is we work with the school and we try to make it into a, you can say, a green facility. Where, because what we realized, as you know, we have been doing teachers training for the last 10 years. So we realized was that once we do the training and we move out, the graph of like the motivation and the participation also goes down. So this was a big problem. So then we thought over the problem that how can we make a change? So we came out with this, I would for simplicity say an ABC model. So A part was, first we let's convert the institution into a green institution. So we work with the school, we talk to the do the teachers training, we make them form a green policy, then we make them work on 5 domains, like they have to install solar panels for clean energy, then they have to work on rainwater harvesting for water conservation, then they work on waste management so that they take care of their own composting and your minimization of waste. Then on the green spaces, the fourth pillar, where they have to plant trees, they have to do the butterfly garden, herbal garden, that type of activities. And the fifth is the air quality. So in these 5 parameters, the schools start working. Then they do a pre-audit. Then they also do a post-audit as per their strategy after 6 months, what they have done. So once they do this, once this post-audit is done and they become, then we see them what they have achieved, and then we give them a award, like example, platinum, gold, silvers to motivate them. So now A part is concerned, like we have a green building, a green facility, which we can use to train people. Like we can use it for training the teachers, the staff, non-teaching staff, as well as the kids. So now we have a facility ready. We move to this then the B part of the program, where we have a lot of activities designed around like what Prime Minister's talked about, life campaign. So the kids start working on water issues, they start working on energy issues, how to. So basically, exercises are now derived around the campus you have. Then after this is over, then we move on to the C part, which is the community engagement. Then the school starts interacting with the place where it is situated. So they have a circle of influence. They have parents coming, they have people around the school. So they start talking to them about the solutions. Parents come, they check things out. So this is, so we feel there's a big impact in long term in the Green Campus program. And actually, I also got my, you say climate anxiety. Well, I came across this only from my Green Campus program in one of the summer programs which we had done. So we had asked all the school children who are participating to do some activity on. So we trained them on photography, we trained them on movie making, we taught them how to do storytelling, and then we told them to make their own films, write essays, and do some creative work. And unfortunately, 95% of the kids came out with a very bleak future in most of their stories, that there will be a problem, there will be air quality problems. And I can also say that because of COVID, it was the time when the COVID had just come. So that was also probably one of the reasons, could be that that state of mind was there. But overall, the situation was that the people, especially the younger generation, has a bleaker view of the future because of the what we are seeing all around, because of the climate and these related issues. So Green Campus program, what we are trying to do is we are trying to address these issues head on by talking about hope. We're talking about all the things concerning like how can we help the children understand like what is the problem and what is the solution part. So we are in Green Campus trying to do more on what the solutions could be.
So, tell me something. Do you see a change in these children before the Green Campus programs and after it? Do you see them being more positive, more hopeful about the future? Do you notice that change?
Yes, we have some very positive stories from the program because we keep talking to the teachers, and so they are coming out with some very great positive stories. Like in one school, what they did was after understanding plastics, they went around their school and then they went around the village collecting all plastic as well as trying to make the village plastic free. Then at one place there was the whole school participated in seed collection. because when they understood the concept, then they went around collecting wild seeds for planting and making the seed banks out of it. So there are a lot of like, and again we at school, again next story, that we had this solar installed. So all the kids started learning at how to take the meter readings, and they started promoting it. So we have a lot of stories of children and of participating, talking about these things, and definitely it leads to a better understanding. Because as I said right in the beginning, children are very hope oriented and action oriented also. They want to do something about it. So this is something they feel they can do about it. They can do some positive action.
So you're saying that climate anxiety can be dealt with, and what would you say is the best way to deal with it?
I definitely feel that climate anxiety can be dealt with. There is no, I wouldn't say that this is the end of the world, because climate anxiety is something where people feel incapacitated, that nothing is happening. Probably the leadership is not doing anything, or things are not happening. We are going in the wrong direction. So the time when we are able to clarify the message that no, things are happening and this is a problem, definitely we are going to solve. So then it gives a hope to the kids that something can be done.
जी. So you talk about hope budget. कुछ बताएंगे what is hope budget?
A hope budget is something which we all are born with. Like you talk to a small kid, so for that, for the small children, the hope budget is very high. And because the world is an oyster for them, they want to do, they can think of anything. They know from whatever their aspirations are, whatever movie they see, they want to become that, you see. So it's all about hope, like that's what they want to do. But as we go uh, more deeper, as we keep growing up, as we keep getting older and older, the hope budget keeps decreasing because we are faced with so many problems, the reality sinks in, that's what is possible, what's not possible. A lot of cynicism comes in, that okay, these things are not going to work. So that is what I call the hope budget. And in kids it's very high, and it's very important also to keep it high, because if they don't have a high hope budget, then of course problems can come. Now the situation with media covering so much, like initially I saw about, if you say 5 years back, there was not much of news about climate change. At least disasters were being reported, but the linkage was not being given. It was just a normal disaster happening. But now with so many extreme events happening, whether it's Bangalore going underwater, like whether it is Dubai suffering, as I said last week, so much of rain happening, and landslides like Himachal Pradesh, if you remember last year, more than 10,000 crore, that was the kind of thing we had. And in 2013 we had one of the biggest disasters of India, when when the Kedarnath, the dam, the lake burst happened. So now the thing is that because of this, what is happening is that kids and everybody is feeling that these things are happening, what will happen in the future. So now there's a very important that we start talking about the positive part of it, how it can be, like how we can come out of it, how we can build a solution around. I would suggest that a solution framework should be built around this now.
How did you become environmentally conscious? How did sustainability come into your life?
uh, Well, I was, though I have a background in geology, so I was always inclined towards these things. But then I did my management and I started being part of a corporate world. But then I realized as things advanced and things started getting bad in the early past of this century, and I saw a lot of like we are going in the wrong direction. And then I came across this movie, Inconvenient Truth of Al Gore, in 2007, which really opened my eyes to climate change and its impacts. So that is the time when I decided that I'm going to work on it as much, whatever time I have, I'm going to devote in this and trying to talk about, build awareness around climate change. Because in 2007, there was no community awareness around climate change, excepting that one movie which came. And I was very fortunate in that 2009 that I got an invite from the Climate Reality Project to come and get trained by Mr. Al Gore himself. So that was a big thing for me. So I went for the training. I learned more about it. Then in 2010 onwards, I started working on it more seriously in terms of focused on what climate change solutions would look like in the country. Since that time, I've been continuously working on this.
So you would say the best antidote to climate anxiety would be doing something about it?
Definitely, I think what I will suggest here is that, first of all, we need an ecosystem around this. It is not something which should be left only to the teachers, that they are the ones who are going to take off climate change. I think we need an ecosystem, because this is something which is going to grow in coming times. So we need to train doctors who are trained, we need psychologists, psychiatrists. All these people should start thinking about it, and especially the school counselors, teachers, of course. So all these people, and parents also, I would say, they should try to understand if the child is feeling climate anxiety, and they all people should be there, because all kids do not go through the process of that. If they are having climate anxiety, they'll do some action. Some may actually require some physical intervention by the doctors or somebody. So in that situation, I think we should have in the future a ecosystem of this, like where professionals, trained people, they understand the problem and they can prescribe some solutions to it. So I feel that type of thing should come in future.
And how long do you think it might take to build this ecosystem?
See, the way climate change is going ahead, and the way I'm seeing in schools and colleges, this discussions taking place now. Now you see Greta Thunberg, you see what a lot of kids like this are in India also, who are very, very stressed out about climate anxiety. So I think more and more, as this type of need for this comes, and the professionals identify it, because I know these people who are working in this domain, especially in the mental health, they know they've been handling much worse issues. So this is like an existential crisis, I would call it. So once they are into it, I think uh, it will only require a little bit of understanding on their part, that what the situation is, what's the problem, what is the solution like, how they can take it, some researchers around, because most of the research also which today exists on this line would be again West, is global north which is doing all the research. So probably if some of our own people, like we have some very big institutions in the country, if they take it up, they study the climate anxiety, and they can probably give us our own solutions which are more specific to our global south.
Right. So, Mr. Pundir here is saying that we all know there is climate anxiety. What we need to do is build an ecosystem to support and help us all deal with climate anxiety. Thank you so much for joining us today.